That's just, I think, a very fair punishment for losing. It's one of the freest lanes in the game. And what are we doing? We're getting owned by Nio Mundo. Do you know how bad you have to be to get clapped by TES? Look at BLG. Happened the other night. So.
Oh.
Okay, and my VLC completely explodes. Hopefully, I don't leak any of my Binding of Isaac runs. Let's go. Let's just get back to the cams here, guys.
All right, I'm gonna cope back. On the first one, IG did have Rumble and an Ashe Seraphine and a Syndra, and Rookie's been looking pretty good on Syndra, and they did lose to that. Oh, they did lose with that. That is a problem. And then in the second one, Photic does have. Oh, sorry. Yeah, Felios against Yunara. That's a winning matchup for Felios, and it did get 2v1 killed. That did happen. But you just gotta believe, all right? You gotta believe.
Okay.
That's
wonderful.
That's the code.
Let's get over to their opponents here, Jack. Let's take a look at JDG. We're in their home arena, and these guys look kind of like, I think, early favorites for the playoffs right now. They look like probably the most consistent team here in the top 4 immediately. A win here tonight would cement themselves an automatic bid into the playoffs.
Yeah, I am a big fan of this team. I think they're very fun to watch play. I think that Hongq, with how young he is and what he's been doing in the league, I think mechanically he's incredible. And in contention, I think, a bit of leaking here, but maybe some votes for first all pro team from some color casters. But Carla's been doing really well. We had a big discussion today in our meeting about like some of the best supports. I think it was Rafa who said Vampire was like his top 3. I would have to agree as well. I think that this team is great. They have Tabe in the drafting. The problem is sometimes this team plays way too aggressive. A lot of their games are lost by making mistakes in the late game, oversending it on the back of Junja, and against good teams, even middle of the pack, ascend teams that we've seen, that loses you the game.
Well, right now, JDG are a middle-of-the-pack team. They're not at the length of going to 5-3 or 6-2 that we see from an AL. And so we'll kind of take a look. You're speaking about the level up we've been seeing from Vampire. Well, we have a bit of a video here from JDG's own content team. We can take a look at his most recent Bard performance.
我昨天玩了把中单，我看到对面辅助来抓我就烦，你知道吗？
我也是的。
我现在玩辅助，我现在必须去恶心对面中单。我看到对面辅助来恶心我，我就很烦。对面辅助只要站在旁边，我就感觉很烦。所以说玩玩其他的位置挺好的。
玩玩其他的位置，你就会小懂一点。
对啊，我等下直接整个宝个有1杠11。
或者宝嘎子就行了。
我贴。
哎，我能倒出来。
保一下。
慢点，打前面，
我要 Q。
打前排，打前排就行。你有干过，
帮一下我，我来了。
推塔，
推塔，兄弟们！这巴德真神了，这把的发挥。
这 carry 啊，真来了
carry 啊
！Nice。
Do you know how lucky we have to be to get Carrier? Like, we already have Kyle, and so it would feel great if we had our own version of Carrier here in the league.
That's true. I mean, I think about Worlds. I think about, FlyQuest letting Bard through a carrier and just getting embarrassed. There was a clip, I don't know who he was playing against the other day, but there was a ridiculous Q flash into the wall ult. Having some Bard players in the LPL is a great thing, but more than just Bard players in general, it's a support that can actually answer the supports from the LCK. I mean, Carrier is there as, what is to many one of the best supports of all time now, but Duo is amazing. Delight, he's good too on the engaged
He didn't even
supports.
make first stand. How good is that guy?
I know. How good can you be if you don't make first stand, guys? The most serious tournament of the year. But I think that having Vampire step up to other supports in the league, Kyle on, and having some other names like that, and maybe if we see, players like Mako or Crisp come back, then there's more supports in the conversation there. But for now, I think Vampire's been doing an amazing job of stepping up in his role.
I'll meet you halfway on that one. We do have a pretty good feeling that Invictus are going to have Mako return for Split 2. Chris, I'm a little still on the fence about. His last year on Weibo was not great, but I think maybe people might be willing to forgive that, considering that Weibo team did kind of crash and burn throughout the rest of the year. So we'll end up seeing. Also have to kind of remind folks that when we look at the upcoming draft, you talked a lot about Bard there. We have yet to see Jue pick up a Bard game here this year, and it doesn't seem like that's going to be maybe the case. Maybe Jue and the rest of IG have something special planned for Invictus, which kind of leads us into our next topic about first selection. Came in today, IG had options here. They were the ones with first selection. They chose counterpick, which seems to be a growing trend against, I think specifically some of our lower end teams. If they know they're a little bit more limited, they tend to try to go for counterpick to get at least one winning matchup somewhere.
I think support counterpick's super important. I mean, that's pivoting back to the Bard as well on this first selection thing. Yes, Carrier is incredibly creative, but one of the reasons that his Bard and Bard in general is so good is that it doesn't really lose lane that badly, and then you get the roaming aspect, and that's the part that really shuts people down. It's got a fine lane, right? You have to play something like a Nico or a Karma, or maybe look for an all-in lane with a hook champion to try to win that lane, but then you just get out-roamed all game. If ADC is on something, say Varus, Caitlyn, Jhin, Ashe even.
Every
Sometimes
AD
you've seen
carry.
some Corki. Yeah, well, you can't play Kai'Sa Bard. That's illegal. Zeri
Yes.
Bard, also not allowed. If we do see that, I don't care if it is carrier, I'm not feeling confident.
There you go. All right. Well, Jack, when we come into this game, I think it's hard to not recognize the elephant in the room, kind of asking to address me immediately. JDG, hard favorites in this. Yes, they lost the last time we saw them, but I think that was definitely a bit of a fluke. That was also one of the first games of the season that we ended up seeing from JDG, and it went all the way to 3. IG have been on a bit of a slip and tumble past week 2 after winning versus Top Esports. Then they lose to that team, they lose to AL, they lose to BLG, and any more series loss from here on out essentially locks them for that play-in stage. So we're going right into draft. We've got a couple of picks coming on through. It's going to be JDG on the blue side with first pick. Malphite, Nico, and Jarvan already taken away. Is there a first pick that's screaming out to us?
I mean, Orianna. Oh, the Varus is up, of course. Yeah, Orianna's banned. Perfect. I think that this is great because it's one of those AD carries I was talking about, Alk, that you can pair with Bard. IG would have to take it away here if they wanted to. In past times when Bard wasn't as prioritized, it was normally into things that are immobile. So picking away this Yunara early means that the Bard does lose a little bit of that catch potential.
And with Yunara picked, I do think JDG are going to have to ask themselves, do they want to go for an Enchanter? It's not the best with Poke Varus, but if we see that on-hit variant, then I think a lot of things start to open up for them. You also have to think about pairings going into Xin Zhao later on. Again, Enchanter's super strong here for Invictus Gaming as we go further here in the draft. JDG, though, we see the Hover the Azir. It was one of the most popular champions for Rookie last year, but he has yet to play this champion so far in 2026, and now it is being snapped up away from him.
Throwback to their game, well, their first series, sorry, IG versus JDG. Rookie picked Syndra into Honkyu's Azir, and it did so much work in that game, denying the engage, stopping Honkyu from getting onto the backline and finding those shuffles. So maybe Rookie goes towards something like that again. The LeBlanc Slam. This is aggressive. It means that you can't go Bard anymore, though, because it's too much mobility. It's not a good pick here. So Vampire would have to find something else to impact this game. A Nautilus would be good. Something that could lock down this LeBlanc.
I like your Nautilus. I do think that maybe if you're trying to go for a little bit more lane, you could opt for the Braum. We'll see. We're still expecting an Enchanter here for Invictus Gaming, so whether or not JDG end up kind of slamming into that is going to be interesting. Also, if JDG opt to get rid of some more of these top lane champions, because Saboro has been somewhat of a weaker individual laner and been leaning more on some of those strong laners like the Cassante, like the Renekton.
With the Rumble ban, I mean, that kind of... falling down a little bit. We've seen the complete disappearance of Rek'Sai from the meta, and the blind Scion hasn't been getting through as much. It still is, but not a ton. But there's the Braum that you talked about. So Nautilus is up. Alistair as well is another thing that gives you guaranteed engage for JDG. It works okay with Varus. I think I'm a huge fan of on-hit Varus. I think it's way more fun, but JDG actually banning the Nautilus from themselves. So what do they have here?
This just means we're probably getting Alistar well. I mean, look at the compositions right now. It appears like IG want to try to, you know, go for somewhat of like a pick composition with LeBlanc and Xin Zhao being skirmishing 2v2. JG, though, we're going for a full-on team fight. Let's utilize the poke of a Varus and a Nazir. This Bard, while it may not get value versus the LeBlanc, I think versus a Yunara and a Xin Zhao, that is incredible to see. So we're going to see a lot of great frontlining from this Pantheon and this Scion.
Yeah, the Alistair pick, the Rel has been like a really traditional, like a handshake trade, even though the Alistair does have a good hands up into that. But you just have no play into LeBlanc, but neither does the Bard really. So even though this, I love this draft from JDG. I love Vampire's confidence. It really speaks volumes to how confident this player is on Bard right now. It feels like the priority for Vampire is rising up a lot, but I'm worried, Alk, that the LeBlanc, that Rookie has no answer to him this game, that he will be able to do whatever he wants.
I'll posit one answer. Pantheon W is unmissable. So if Rookie flies forward and Pantheon decides, you know, maybe I should stun this guy, that is, I think, the only way we see Rookie get dealt with. I like what we have here from IG. I think you have some really good lanes to be able to maybe answer early on. Gwen versus Scion can be good, although Scion with the Soul Furnace can actually match her in lane a little bit until the first items come through. LeBlanc versus Azir should be strong enough for Rookie. It's just we get into side lanes, and I think IG are going to need to be really, really cognizant about what matchups they're taking, because LeBlanc into Azir is fine, Gwen into Azir is fine. I don't really think you want to be playing some of these matchups into the LeBlanc, especially later on. So LeBlanc into Scion, nothing's happening over there. Them brothers, Scion is standing there, he's going to clear the wave in front of you and walk away into Fog of War. So
yeah,
we're going to get into game here soon, Jack. But we're talking about late game, we're looking at JDG. I need to see IG do something early.
I mean, they have options, right? I mean, Alistair level 1 is not great, but Yunara can get the push. A roam with Xin Zhao and LeBlanc to impact this bot lane could be nice. And dragon stacking has been super important on this meta, on this patch. So depending on if it's a good soul, might be something that IG can look for.
All right, well, gentlemen, folks, ladies, we are going on to the Rift for game number 1 between JDG and Invictus Gaming.
Ok anh em ơi, chào mừng anh em đã đến với cả phiên live LPL của em Hồ. Cặp đấu thứ 2 của LPL ngày hôm nay giữa Jin và IG. Game đấu này thì Jin sẽ là bên phía của đội xanh, còn IG là bên phía đỏ anh em nhé.
And it's almost kind of a meme at this point, because I feel like every caster is like, oh man, I really like on-hit Varus. And then we get in the game and it's just like, cool, it's not on-hit Varus. Photic already having to lose the cleanse, not great. So Vampire finding that level 1. We talked about this going to be a very difficult lane for IG to play, and already it's already becoming a bit of an issue here.
Yeah, I think Yunara can find priority in some lanes, but Bard, Lethality Varus, probably not happening with the Comet early. Yeah, I think this is an okay game to go on hit. The only reason I think so is because I don't think you're really hitting LeBlanc with like stray Qs unless it's really through Fog of War. And having some of that tankiness from the on-hit build, you know, going a Wit's End or a Jackstraw later on might be able to make you live through the burst, because there is a lot of burst from IG. They have consistent damage with the Gwen a little bit, but mostly from this Yunara. Rookie wants to look for one-shots, right? So if you're able to live through that with an on-hit build, might be good for Gala to go, but he wants the range, right? This is against the Gwen, against the Xin Zhao, who struggle with the range. Yet there is the Hollow Mist and the Crescent Guard to buy some time. This is something that Gen G did quite a lot in 2025, where they would play Gwen and Xin Zhao together. And the front line is, like, it does a lot of damage. It's not tanky, but it's so tough to get through because of the double invulnerability.
Does mean that you have to play a very fine line. You need to know when you're allowed to take damage. I think an important skill for any tank player in any role. And requires a certain bar of execution. We've seen some other teams. I think we had a draft the other night where it was a Gwen topside, and they just had no front line, and they got completely evaporated in team fights. So we'll see whether or not both junglers have path down towards the bottom side, but we can see already IG with the solo lanes they have. I think there's a very real possibility that Wei just gets this bottom side scuttle, and we can already see that Junja has moved up to the top side. I wonder if after this top lane wave, Gwen moves over to maybe get a little bit frisky with the Pantheon, but isn't going to be able to do so, as I suspect that Xiaoxiu is just holding the lane with this Scion.
Wei will be... not spotted out. I thought there was going to be a ward there, but no ward for Vampire, so Wei will just simply sneak past and get a base. And I was talking with Gordo in our previous series about the red side value these days, like the, the second Scuttle Crab, or I guess the third Scuttle Crab technically, giving level 6 to the jungler and having access to the dragons. I mean, IG have that, right? Giving or taking away level 6 from Pantheon is quite nice, as Gala takes pretty decent trade here for Photic at least. So IG finding some punchback in the trade. The lane isn't too unplayable right now, which is nice.
Only about 100 gold lead for now, and generally speaking, most of the lanes are doing fine. This is going to be a great trade here for Rookie, not only forcing out the shifting stands, but HoNG, no teleport. Even with the home guards, he is more than likely to miss out on some of this wave. It is going to be a fake back, though, as per usual, so he's just going to sit there, just continue to soak the wave underneath his turret. Maybe Rookie gets a plate for himself. He can maybe look. He's going to be level 6 coming up soon for this LeBlanc, so very, very dangerous for HoNG to stay.
The good news for HoNG is he can go Merc Treads this game fairly easily. I know that there is a Xin Zhao and a Yunara, but I mean, denies some of the burst again from Rookie, helps against a Gwen, and even though you can't, use tenacity against knockups, it does help some of the stuns and the slows from Alistar and the other members. But Junja is holding this wave. He wants to give it to HoNG, but he's taking a lot of damage on the side.
Gala! He just gets engaged upon by Jway. That's a flash coming in. And he's already taken down, so no teleport, no life. He's going to miss out on this massive wave that is pushing away from them. And now IG, with the pressure that they were able to gain through mid lane with that gank that we saw, and with Junja holding the lane, this is a good start here for IG. It's going to open up more than just a kill's worth of gold.
Step 2, Alk. Step 2. Remind Photic that he has been the best AD carry in the league at a time. Now, this is 6 minutes into game 1. Am I game 1, Andy? Yes, always. But it's a great look from Jway and Photic finding the catch on the Gala. Photic does flash, so, there is that down, but finding a kill like that in this lane, Alistar not the strongest laner, and Varus is a very strong laner. So taking down Gala, getting a gold lead for Photic is a really nice start for IG.
Ooh, and look at this right here. Wei did his Gromp, got the got the 20 on his jungle stack. So this is, again, that third scuttle that we were talking about. Now has upgraded Smite even before he finishes this, and his bot lane is just now coming back from a recall. So this could turn into Dragon. It doesn't seem like IG are really that pressed to start up the Infernal Drake. Junja has moved topside, and Saburo does have flash, so I think this might be a little bit of an overchase. There's no Hollowed Mist now, so Junja and Xiaoxiu are going to walk forward. Needlework comes out to give a little bit more healing with 1,000 cuts passes. Saburo with the slow as well, just chunking everybody from JDG away. And just using that ultimate does keep him alive for now. Wei is on his kind of moving on over.
Could say Wei's on his way.
I didn't really want to do that. I need to find different solutions for saying someone is approaching. And I would use Lila, but we haven't really indoctrinated the rest of the English chat to understand that yet. So soon we will.
We need to start, because that, I tell you, like, I don't understand Chinese, but sometimes when I happen to watch the Chinese cast of LPL, and the cast is saying Lila with I just made me see red. I was tearing it up. When you're talking about punching through drywall before we went live, that's exactly how I felt. It just makes me go.
Careful, they're gonna think I'm some kind of spicy boy. Look, there's no holes in this wall, okay? Not ones that weren't premeditated, like with a nail or something. So just wanna put that out there. Gotta clear my name at this point, but talked about playing through jungle, even if it was a little bit memey. Wei does have a camp lead by getting that bot side scuttle, now stealing away the blue buff, and also was able to protect his respawn raptors here. So despite the items being a little bit closer, if Wei can keep up this pace, he is going to be finishing his smite rather soon. And we still have no play for objectives. I would imagine that playing for this would be to an
Một ca một
advantage
vàng cách biệt dành cho IG sau 8 phút thi đấu. Chiến công đầu dành cho Phô Tích, một con Junara đang rất khỏe so với Gala của Varus phía bên kia. Anh em vào like cho em Hổ xin một like một sub nha anh em ơi. Sau LCK CL thì có vẻ như là LPL anh em không được hứng thú cho lắm. Con sâu đang được ăn bởi Wei. Chắc chắn sẽ có cho mình đầy đủ cả 3 con mà thôi.
Not against a LeBlanc. When LeBlanc is walking through fog, that's her best time. And there are kind of stages of it, right? Like Orianna, very bad at walking from lane to lane, very unsafe through fog. Azir is like halfway there. He's good against Orianna, but not as good as LeBlanc. When LeBlanc is walking through fog, walking from lane to lane, she's very scary. This is a very slow TP from Bard.
This was on absolutely no vision, by the way. They had no wards in this play, and now they just caught out Wei. So that's a spellbook teleport from Vampire. He'll get an assist for this, and that is Đứng picking up the first kill for JDG.
Yeah, I didn't think JDG really knew where they were going with that one, but they obviously did. Really nice ult from ΔUN. Now he's back up to top lane. Playing to the Scion is a bit strange, giving your Scion some goal. I mean, the lane is pretty tough. You can already see the CS advantage that Saburo has is pretty rough to play against, but ΔUN will be spotted by this pink ward. And despite the kill, I feel like IG can just do the dragon right now if they want to, or maybe when Rookie TB's back in, if he's got a first item completion, that would be really nice, and still maintain a solid control over this map.
They're pushing in bottom lane, which is part of the steps. LeBlanc, like you mentioned, does have teleport and soon to be level 9. Hard for Vampire. I mean, nobody from JDG is in the area. They used a lot of those tools to pick out Wei earlier. So, IG, within the first 10 minutes of the game, they get first blood. They get all 3 of the grubs, plus they grab the first dragon. I would say this is a fairly successful early game for them. And while we've seen JDG try to make some moves around Saburo, I think that if you're able to, you know, put Gwen behind, it makes Scion even more of a threat later on. But we're not really seeing that, and more plates going over to IG. They are very handily kind of winning this early game.
Yeah, gold leads in almost every lane except for the mid lane. Early Drake is nice, the grubs are nice too, and
Hello ba anh em đang xem live của em Hổ nha.
Nice try.
Bên nào thắng nhỉ? Trận này hơi khó nói anh ạ. Trận này chắc là JDG sẽ vẫn thắng thôi. Đội hình của JDG mùa này em Hổ đang đánh giá là khá cao. Chưa kể cái trận này về late thì JDG cũng là nhỉnh hơn khi mà có cho mình một con Azir của Đứng. Tôi lỡ vào IG à? Trận này em Hổ cũng vào IG mà anh ra. Trận này em Hổ đang có cho mình cái IG cộng nè. Em Hổ nghĩ là JDG nó sẽ thắng, nhưng mà không clear được cái cộng trừ. Anh Giai trận này đi đội thắng hay là đi cộng trừ? Đi IG thắng luôn á, đi luôn cái hũ IG á.
Hopefully it's not too bad for everybody, but yeah, I think IG living through that, you know, pretend dive, as you put it, is nice. I mean, keeping Photic at a decent position is good, and I mean, for JDG, they do have great scaling, like you said. They have a pretty decent team fight as well.
Cả cộng cả money line à? Thế thì để em Hổ ngồi khấn cho anh Giai nhá. Có mỗi anh Giai vào xem ủng hộ để em Hổ ngồi khấn cho. Để mà nói đội hình của IG về late đánh giá là khỏe hơn so với JDG khi mà có cho mình một con Gwen của Saburo. Rất nhiều sát thương khi về late. Một con Junara của Phô Tích cũng đang rất xanh khi mà đã có cho mình cái chiến công đầu. Mặc dù có cái chiến công đầu nhưng mà đang farm thua Gala đâu đó là tầm 14 chỉ số đính. Ở đây đang muốn xâm lăng rừng. Thiên mệnh khả biến hóa vàng. V-Way đến, mạng được dành cho Way. Bên này thì sao? Bên này thì Junvia cũng sẽ phải lên bảng điểm số mà thôi. Sau khi hết cái E của mình. À không, Flash qua tường chạy được. Lách qua khe cửa hẹp. Giữ được cái mạng nhưng mà chắc chắn sẽ mất con búa xanh này. Rơi vào tay của Way. Một pha xâm lăng rừng là tốt, huy động người tốt hơn đến từ bên phía của IG. Đem lại một mạng hỗ trợ. Hình như cái mạng đấy rơi vào tay của Vampire thì phải. Dòng lửa đầu game là ngon rồi. Sao bọn này nó không hiện ấy đi nhỉ? Dòng lửa giờ bị nớp rồi, không còn khỏe như hồi xưa nữa. Bây giờ ưu tiên dòng gió hay là dòng hóa kỹ. Nó không hiện cái bảng KDA xem lên đi, cứ hiện bảng chiêu cuối với bảng cấp làm gì ta. Con rồng đầu tiên 1 phút nữa mới xuất hiện cơ. Nào muốn tranh chấp cho mình con cua ở đây. Dìn Đông có lợi thế. Bên này thì phố tích vướn lên là hơi cao. Junvia bị kẹt lại rồi. Junvia dính cho mình cái combo của bò. Hết flash rồi thì giờ này chạy kiểu gì đây? Mạng dành cho Rocky. Thiên mệnh khả biến hóa vàng. Phố tích bên này phân chia thiên hạ đẩy được là 4 người. Nhưng mà đồng đội đâu? Vấn đề là không có đồng đội. Gala có được cái mạng của Rocky. Nhưng mà bên này đội hình của IG đang tràn lên với là 3 người. Chắc chắn đó là double kill dành cho phố tích. Một pha combat thắng lợi hoàn toàn dành cho IG. Có được đâu đó là 4 mạng của Dìn Đông. Và double kill dành cho con Yunara. Đây rồi, cái cộng đang rất sáng luôn. Pha này Junvia tự cho mình vào cái góc chết thôi. Một con Pantheon không còn phép bổ trợ flash nữa. Đi vào trong hang rồng thì sống kiểu gì. Hong Quy phân chia thiên hạ là đẹp đây nhưng mà không có sát thương. Một mình Hong Quy làm sao cân 4 được. Bên kia Gala với Vampire thì bị cô lập ở hướng còn lại. Và đó là có bắt thắng dành cho IG. Bên này thì Junvia đang muốn bắt vào Soboro. Soboro có cho mình sẽ chỉ luồn kim. Vampire đến quy hụt. Nhưng mà Vampire đớp được cái mạng của Soboro. Hơi đen dành cho Dìn Đông. Khi mà cái mạng đấy lại rơi vào tay người chơi hỗ trợ. Mid IG một combo thì AD bên Dìn Đông khó sống. Vấn đề là combo được hay không ấy anh. Con LeBlanc giai đoạn này vẫn đang khỏe. Nhưng mà LeBlanc về late thì sẽ yếu hơn. Đội hình của IG trận này em Hổ đánh giá là đẹp hơn mà. Vấn đề là bọn nó xử lý ra sao thôi. Đang muốn ăn sứ giả nhưng mà có cái dịch chuyển của sao Sủ đến rồi. Nên là bên phía IG quyết định là bỏ. Lại đang muốn giao tranh ở đây chăng? Tốc biến ma thuật, combo hất tung được 2 người. Quay vào. Có cho mình cái thiên mệnh khả biến. Hết thiên mệnh khả biến thì sao đây? Thì phải lên bảng đến số đến từ vị trí của Junvia. Mạng được dành cho Phố Tích. Phía bên kia thì Varus cũng đã có được cái mạng sát đào của con bò. Nhưng mà Hong Quy phân chia thiên hạ đẩy được 2 người. Nhưng mà ai bắt vào vị trí con Yunara này đây? Con Yunara này đang bắn cực kỳ là cháy máy. Đâu đó hình như là Yunara lại được cái double kill thì phải. Triple kill dành cho Yunara anh em ạ, chứ không phải là double kill. Sorry anh em. Một con Yunara của Phố Tích 603. Một k một vàng hơn so với Gala phía bên kia. Thật sự là một con quái vật. Tứ giả cũng rơi vào tay bên phía IG luôn. Anh em cùng xem lại cái pha lao vào mở đến từ con bò. Thiên mệnh khả biến cứu đi được một nhịp. Nhưng mà vấn đề của bên phía Dìn Đông là không có một ai bắt vào con Yunara này để con Yunara nó xả. xả đam free từ đầu đến cuối thì đỡ kiểu gì. Hong Quy có những cái pha phân chia thiên hạ là đẹp, nhưng mà sát thương là không đủ. Đội hình Jin Đông đang hơi thiếu sát thương ở cái giai đoạn này. Một con Varus thì chỉ là cấu rỉa, Varus sát lực, nên cái sát thương DPS cũng không phải là quá nhiều. Trái ngược hẳn so với phô tích Yunara phía bên kia. Top mid ADC IG ngon hơn. IG trận này vẫn đang làm tốt chất tướng anh. 18k vàng, nhầm 18 phút, hơn 3k3 và 2 rồng, 1 sứ giả, 3 sâu. Tất cả mọi mục tiêu trong trận đấu này đều rơi vào tay của IG. Để mà thua nữa thì chịu. Trận này mấy thằng IG còn thua nữa thì chịu.
Hoping to see a little bit more. He does have a lot more, I think, agency is the word I would use here.
He is unlocked into, the side lane now. I agree. He has a ton of agency. Pan away from that engage there. Didn't really see what happened, but looks like, you know what, Alk? I'm gonna say something.
Go for it.
When I first, listened to you, Carson, and you say like, oh, observers this. And I was like, oh, it can't be that.
Tỷ lệ cao là cặp này sẽ lại có 3 game. Cặp trước 2 game rồi, cặp này 3 game, tí xem cho vui. Thả cho mình con sứ giả húc đổ cái trụ 1 đường giữa bên phía Jin Đông. Đang muốn lái để húc luôn trụ 2, bên này muốn bắt vào Gala nhưng mà Gala flash chạy đi được rồi. Hong Quy combo phân chia tiếng cười. Vậy là một cái con sứ giả cũng khá là thành công dành cho IG, húc được 2 phát. Đường dưới thì Sáo Sú tranh thủ cái khoảng trống, gỡ gạc cái trụ đầu tiên dành cho Jin Đông trong trận đấu này.
No, he dies. He dies.
Oh, he dies. Okay. Well,
yeah, so
this is just called MMR balancing, right? So
5k vàng chênh lệch rồi. Càng đánh bên phía của IG càng khỏe hơn. Nên là IG cũng không việc gì phải vội cả. Những cái chất tướng như kiểu Gwen hay là Yunara càng về lết càng khỏe.
Yunara can dash away and has flash. Now rookie's got spell shield plus a bajillion mobility.
Con rồng thứ 3 12 phút nữa sẽ xuất hiện. Lại đang muốn đánh rồi, đẩy được Junvia về. Junvia mất rất nhiều máu và Junvia sẽ phải lên bảng điểm số mà thôi. Mạng thứ 7 của Yunara trong trận đấu này. Đội hình của Jin Đông đang cần phải chạy. Bên này Gala bị trói. Thiên mệnh khả biến không trúng được ai. Phô tích vẫn đang bắn. Một con Yunara bắn free ở trong combat. Chịu chết. Tầm này anh dai bú rồi. Tầm này money line của IG đợi về thôi chứ thua kiểu gì nữa. Còn Yunara là một con quái vật rồi. 805 KDA. Lấy luôn cho mình con Baron ở phút thứ 21 mà không cần đến con rồng đất. Thôi cộng trừ nhân chia gì ở đây nữa. Cộng trừ nhân chia ở đây đợi về thôi. Đợi tinh thôi chứ còn gì nữa. Còn cái money line thôi. Money line thì hy vọng là mấy thằng IG nó không quăng game. Tay tham 32 à? Hơi khó. Thế thì cái đấy chắc cút. Bọn Jin Đông nó ngửa sớm như này. Con Yunara quái vật thế này thì cái tham hơi khó sống rồi. Thật sự là bên phía đội hình của Jin Đông không ai bắt được vào con Yunara này cả. Con Yunara của phô tích nãy giờ vào combat ném free từ đầu đến cuối. 8k3 vàng chênh lệch rồi. Một con bùa lợi Baron từ rất sớm, mới chỉ phút 21. Con rồng 3, một con rồng đất cũng đã có dành cho bên phía của IG. Tầm này Jin Đông không biết là combat thắng kiểu gì luôn. Chưa thấy cái cửa nào thắng được cho Jin Đông. Bây giờ trừ khi Hong Quy phân chia thiên hạ đẹp, bọc sau đẩy được 5 người về, phô tích lên bảng điểm số ngay lập tức. May ra thì Jin Đông có thể nghĩ đến cái combat thắng. Chưa rồng 4 à? Chưa rồng 4 thì vẫn có thể 32 cộng. Nhưng mà con Baron này nó ăn sớm quá. Con Baron 2 thì cũng đâu đó chỉ tầm 27, 28 phút là ra rồi.
no real objectives for the next 4 minutes. So if we get a skirmish,
Thôi thì không sao, để em Hổ ngồi khấn cho anh ra. Em Hổ trận này đi mỗi cái cộng của IG thôi. Mà cộng IG tầm này đợi về thôi chứ còn xin chết luôn. Cộng 7.5 của IG tầm này xin chết luôn.
Not only is there that, but there's the delay. So like, I see the fight after. It's a whole realm of great from me. But I'll do my best. I will say, you know, there's a lot of talent on the LPL, so it's hard to look.
Bố lợi Baron còn tận 1 phút nữa cơ. Có lẽ là bên phía IG sẽ lấy nốt cái trụ này mà thôi. Vậy là tất cả những cái dàn trụ ngoài bên phía Jin Đông đều đã rơi vào túi của IG. Mũi tên xuyên phá là đau đấy, nhưng mà cũng không làm được cái gì thêm.
No ability for IG to really skirmish. They're pushing on 2 separate lanes right now with those 3 grubs.
Yeah, JDG trying to let the game come to them, but unfortunately that means these
mục tiêu không có.
minions as well, Alk, and
lính đường dưới cũng bên phía Jin Đông cũng đang đẩy là khá cao, nên có lẽ là IG sẽ hài lòng với những cái trụ mình lấy được. Sau đó là giật về mua đồ với cái lượng vàng đến từ con Baron mà thôi.
That is a big one for JDG. I mean, if you give Mountain Soul, you've got the Gwen, which is, like you highlighted it before, right? The Hallowed Mist, it's deceptively tanky, this Gwen champion. Xin Zhao's the same with the Crescent Guard, and allowing like a LeBlanc
tầm này
one shot as well, having resistance as
2 đô rưỡi đến từ Rocky rồi. Còn LeBlanc chắc một combo gala lên bảng điểm số mà. À không lên được. Gala cũng đã có cho mình cái áo choàng.
I wanted to note Gala does have the edge of night, so you had asked if, you know, if we were going to see the on hit, you get a little bit more protectiveness with the stats, but
Làm chiêu thôi, mục tiêu không có. Thì có lẽ là Jin Đông cũng sẽ không dám đẩy cao. Đợi tầm 2 phút nữa, cả Baron, cả dòng 4 cũng sẽ xuất hiện. IG có thể nghĩ đến cái việc là ăn linh hồn giống đất, bỏ Baron cũng được. Tại vì là con Baron thì nó cũng không phải là một cái linh hồn vĩnh viễn như là linh hồn giống đất. Có linh hồn giống đất thì Gwen hay là Xin Giao. Đơn giản là một con bò của Z-Way cũng có những cái sức chống chịu được gia tăng. Since we've seen this IG team lose to JDG, and even with the amazing team we had from JDG last year, wasn't able to get it done. Vấn đề là đội hình của Jin Đông còn không, đội hình còn của Jin Đông còn không lên được quá nửa sân ấy anh em. Không có bất kỳ cái tầm nhìn nào đến từ Jin Đông luôn, một màu đen thui ở phần rừng của chính bản thân mình. 7 phút nữa thôi, hy vọng là mấy thằng IG nó bố đạn. Với cả mấy thằng Jin Đông nó không lên xin chết thì về được. This Yunara is becoming very, very strong, working on 4th item now. Doesn't even have pen. I'm very surprised. Fojik's like, yeah, I don't even need it. We're that far ahead. He's got, like, Xiaoshu's got 1 armor item. It's just this unending despair that is different this season. So it is a full armor item, but I am a bit shocked that there's no pen from this Yunara. BT is the choice before LDR. We've got 30 seconds until this Drake. You have 3 orders worth of true damage. Yếu, rồng 4 còn 1 phút. Đợi thôi anh. Nói chung là cái tài tham 32 cũng hơi khó. Bây giờ muốn về thì chỉ có nước là Jin Đông nó cướp được con Baron. Jin Đông cướp được Baron thì may ra. Rocky combo nhẹ vampire mất nửa máu. Dịch chuyển được đầu tư đến từ Soro và Hong Quy. Vậy là hai bên sẽ all-in ở cái pha rồng này. Một con LeBlanc thật sự là khó chịu. Đang ăn rồng đến từ bên phía của IG. Jin Đông không có tầm nhìn ở hang rồng anh em ạ. Soboro xương lam bất bại đang muốn tanh. Phía bên này thì sao đây? Rồi linh hồn rồng đất đã có dành cho IG. Z-Way tốc biến lên tìm kiếm Gala. Phía bên này thì Rocky và Junjia solo với nhau. Hong Quy đã phải lên bảng điểm số. Sao Su đang cần phải chạy nhưng mà chạy lên trời. Double kill dành cho Soboro. Và bài cũng cút. Và chắc chắn IG sẽ có cho mình cái chiến thắng trong trận đấu này mà thôi. Vampire vẫn đang cố gắng câu kéo thời gian. Còn Gala thì chạy ra đường giữa để có thể dọn lính. Liệu IG có muốn ăn Baron hay là kết thúc luôn trận đấu này đây? Thôi, 3 mã thì bú được cái cộng với cả cái money line của IG rồi còn gì nữa. Ba chết ăn một là ngon rồi.
I don't really understand what's happening with this JDG team. I mean, they beat BLG back to back. The first time was 2-0. They beat AL as well.
IG quyết định là về nhà ăn cho mình con Baron.
They've already lost to IG. Now they're losing game 1. There is still a potential of 2 more games, but this one.
Gây sập đến nhưng mà Soboro chạy rất nhanh. Đầu tư luôn cả phe chỉ luân kim. Vậy là Baron đã có dành cho IG con Baron thứ hai của trận đấu này. 13k 5 vàng chênh lệch rồi. IG liệu có muốn end game không hay là vẫn nghịch?
But aside from that, the lanes aren't really in a great spot. So these next 2.5 minutes are really going to dictate how much more IG are going to be ahead. It's 13,500 gold. It's really difficult to overstate how big of a lead this is for them. But somehow, some way, if JDG can stall, their only hope is that Elder in 4 minutes.
Con nào? Rồi, trụ 1 đường giữa bên phía Jin Đông. Nổ rồi. Bây giờ đang muốn ăn cái Mega. Đường trên thì Rocky cũng đang đẩy. Vậy là đã có một đường Mega dành cho IG và sẽ là cái đường Mega thứ hai ở trên mà thôi. Bên này Phô Tích bị nhắm đến, Phô Tích bị hóa vàng. Nhưng mà Z-Way đang cố gắng che. Soboro phía bên kia một mình cân 4. Một mình cân 5 đến từ con quen này luôn. Phân chia thiên hạ đẩy được Z-Way về. Z-Way bị trụ bắn nhưng mà đội hình của mình thì cút hết rồi. Còn một mình Hong Quy mà thôi. Và đó là cái chiến thắng dành cho IG. Một cái chiến thắng rất nhẹ nhàng. 21-6 cực kỳ áp đảo dành cho IG. Sau đâu đó là 29 phút thi đấu. Không en là mấy cuốn lịch à? Không en là điều tra gấp luôn.
How this JDG team has been. Oh boy. And there was times I thought there was a weekend JDG might be.
Không en là điều tra gấp luôn anh em.
After their performances against both AL and BLG, and now, I mean, they still need one win to get to playoffs, right? To guarantee themselves in the playoffs. That might still not happen. I mean, IG 2-6 finding this really dominant win against JDG, and in the past.
Nghỉ ngơi đợi game 2 anh Rai ơi. Nếu mà mấy thằng IG nó đánh như này nhá thì em Hổ nghĩ là game 2 đi cái cộng của IG cũng được ấy. Để xem là bọn nó sẽ pan pick như thế nào. Giờ thì ngồi đợi đâu đó là tầm 10 phút.
Fotic was good. I gotta say, every time when we look at IG, I think a lot of the big problem points come from this jungle support duo. This game, it felt like Jue and Wei could do no wrong in terms of what they could do. We saw early invades. While there wasn't an immediate prioritization of the objectives, I think just the line of events that happened. Bottom lane first dragon, 3 grubs, then they recall. A couple minutes later, they get the second dragon into the Herald. I think that is an illegal line of play, especially for the type of JDG we have seen. I mean, I look at their stats here overall for the league. They are #1 in first turrets in the league at 76%. Dragon percentage, they are second in group ascend at 54. This team is overall a team that's going to be looking at just playing a slower game, playing a bit better of the map and the macro. It comes along with having Tabe as your coach, but mechanically speaking, we saw a lot of misplays from them, and this is a very weird game to talk about because IG didn't necessarily play a very aggressive style. They just got all the objectives for free almost.
Yeah, and for this JDG team, I think with the names on it, like Gala, Hongkyu and Ginger, a great game from Fotic, what can you say? But I do expect more individually, but I feel like one of the biggest problems here in this game was multiple times we saw Junja going topside to try to bail out Xiaoshu from this lane. The lane, like, it doesn't matter if the Scion is more fed this game. It doesn't really matter. Gwen's still going to do what we saw in that game to Xiaoshu. And I feel like a lot more should have been done by Junja around this bot lane. I'm not convinced by the Bard pick this game. I will say for IG, though, Jue had a great game. There were many like hex flash or flash Q or Q flash, W flash.
Historically, LeBlanc is a champion that junglers hate to try to go into her lane to try to gank against. And I think if you are looking at this bottom lane, while it is the pressure point that you want to try to leverage and maybe try to pin down for JDG, Alistar versus Pantheon is a very, very good matchup. Like, Pantheon tries to go in, you can stop him in the middle of his stun, then he has basically no abilities and you can knock him away. So it's very difficult for Pantheon to get through. If this Gwen was behind, maybe that's an angle, because I could see a world where you had mentioned Photic has no damage to kind of get through this Scion. If Scion was, you know, 1,000 gold up, if this Gwen didn't really get to match parity in terms of items, maybe we have a different world, but we don't have to worry about that, because guess what? We live in a society, and we live in a reality anyway, that IG win game number 1, and again, so important for them. You can see at the bottom of your screens, 2 and 6 here for Invictus Gaming. The magic number for playoffs right now for top 4 is 5 wins. And JDG, they just lost against Weibo, they just lost against AL. If they lose another one, you know, like that is giving more breathing room for IG and top esports to make it in.
Which would be a very big difference to how the conversations were about this team earlier. If IG, they will, even if they don't make it through into playoffs directly, they'll still be in play-ins. So, again, some people think that this team might not be able to make it through. I'm not one of those people. Especially with a performance like this, it is really interesting. I don't know if interesting is the right word, but I'm going to use it anyway, of how iffy Group Ascend has been. Everyone is kind of losing to everyone, and there is no clear number 1, and that's not because they're all close. They're all so good. It's because they're all making big mistakes at crucial moments.
They're learning a new season. Everybody's doing a little bit of learning here in Season 26. Player of the game, I think you probably could make a pretty big argument that it's going to be Wei. Had one of the biggest gold leads between him and his opponent. And
I'm going to say Jue.
Jue? Okay.
Damn
Wrong
it.
one. We'll take the J off the front, and you're essentially right at that point. So, 6-1 and 10. Look, big MVP for the man in the jungle. We had a lot of expectations coming out of that Demacia Cup championship, but weren't able to translate that to early success. Maybe that was just them trying to reintegrate Rookie. Renard obviously did wonders for them in that tournament, so we'll see whether or not we can get a little bit more juice to squeeze from this IG 11. But we're going to kick it to a short break here. We'll be back in just a few moments to see the continuation of this JDG and IG series. lemons, breaks, and words. All things used in that last game here for IG as they won a very decisive Game 1 victory. Got still Alk and J Beto here on the show. Jack, as a JDG fan, I know it hurt you, but I'm going to need you to remove the JDG cap for just a little bit here. How likely are we feeling IG are going to be able to take this series now?
I mean, if they keep playing how they have been, mostly, I think if JDG keep playing how they have been, I think it is very likely. This JDG team has found middling results, and I don't mean that as in, you know, bad, in a bad way. They won against BLG, they won against AL, they lost against IG before, they're losing against them again, they lost against Weibo. Like, it's a very strange path a lot of our LPL teams are making. BLG did the same, but JDG is right in the middle here, winning against the best teams, losing against the teams at the bottom of the standings. And I think their game plan, it goes from looking really good with BLG, strong mid jungle, playing around dragons, to, in this game, not a lot of success found in the bot lane, not a lot of success found in the jungle mid. So I think, if JDG can't pull it together, I think IG look way better from our Game 1.
Least biased JDG fan. I asked him to take off the JDG bias, and somehow we make this IG point into a JDG point. Jack, we're gonna have to get you a jersey, bro. I actually need to know, do you have a line with Tabe right now? Are you tapped in with the boys?
Yeah, I'm quickly talking about draft.
Okay.
I wasn't a big fan of the Bard in that game, you know, so I quickly jumped on call and I said, like, what are you guys doing? I can't actually tell you what I said because that would be leaking.
I agree.
Someone might be watching.
Okay.
So I've seen some videos. There are some incredibly successful pro players who do watch this stream, so can't be leaking any of the Tabe strats to them either.
Look, if LEC wants some of their strats, I think they're going to need them, okay?
Ooh.
We're looking at internationals. So we'll take what we can get, but again, such an important series. If JDG are able to win here tonight, they lock themselves a top 4, which, if you don't know, is an automatic bid into playoffs, which means group ascend going into split 2. Top 4, very important. You also get a little bit of side select, or at least first select going into your first series, which is very, very important. And if IG can win this, they're not exactly locked in, but it keeps their dreams alive as they have a series after this versus Weibo to hopefully get them up to 4 series wins. That's a very magical number for this team. Both of our squads starting to get set up here. What do we want to see? I'll give you a softball. What do we want to see from our boys in black and red?
Something synergistic from mid jungle. I think Azir is a really strange pick in the meta because a lot of the bruiser junglers, like Vi Azir, it's okay. It's okay. Pantheon Azir, it's okay. Jarvan is, it's okay. But like, it's not an Orianna. Like, the thing about Orianna is, yes, you lose the side lane. Yes, you get outscaled. But you have so much more synergy with so many more things. So for this game, there's still a bunch of, you know, Wukong looks great in the meta right now. And for Honkyu's pool, I think that there are things that he can pull out. Some of these mages, Talia Vi would be really nice. A Nocturne with an Aurora could be really nice, or even a Jarvan with that could look really nice too. Something that's going to allow Ginger and Honky to play together, play to their own beat.
I think this is the series record that I was noting for JDG versus IG. 0-1. Yeah, 0-1. Yeah, that makes sense. That is every single play. That was all of last year's results, basically, from split 2 placements onwards.
Ouch.
So glad that fan was kind of in line. Again, look, they're watching the broadcast. They're taking our points. That fan sign definitely didn't exist before Game 1. So it looks like we're about to head into draft. I can see that draft.
Hello anh em Hổ quay trở lại với anh em cái game đấu thứ hai này đây. Ai không chứ à? Cũng có thể để xem là bên phía IG sẽ ban pick như thế nào. Nếu mà IG vẫn giữ vững được cái phong độ như ở game đấu thứ nhất thì dễ là 2-0 đấy anh Dài ạ.
Rumble Wukong is a massive strong combo here, massively strong combo, sorry. I would love to see that. There isn't really a ton into the Rumble, like Ambessa, whatever. I know you really hate the Ambessa jungle. Not a big fan of that we started seeing in Demacia. I liked it when it was with Orianna, but not a huge fan of it outside of that combo. I loved how fast that combo was, but I think Leona looks good for IG here on 3. For JDG, Vitalia, I think it's really good. Synergistic mid duo, could go RE2 with a strong side top side as well, that you can have roam down and make some really good team fights. I think this is a really good start for JDG if they do go something like that in the mid lane.
We'll have to see what the answer is. Also, top lane right now is in a really interesting spot. We're talking about potential counters. There is no Alistar in the game, so Rel becomes really strong, and you think about that force multiplier alongside a Misfortune. That could be really dangerous for JDG to deal with. They're going to hide their mid pick, maybe trying to get a little bit more information out from Invictus Gaming's draft. We are expecting, again, that Rel to come on through, but I think Cassante is a perfectly reasonable answer into Rumble.
Another thing that is strong with the Alistar ban, like you mentioned, is the Sivir, right? Something that you have to either pick with the Alistar or ban the Alistar away. The matchup is just so strong for the Alistar. I think, like, going support here would be nice, but you got Rel, Leona, Rakan isn't too bad. The Nocturne having some global potential on IG's side this time, but what is going to be the pairing? I mean, Nocturne MF, it does create some confusion in the fight to allow bullet time to maybe get full channeled, but you're going to need something to pair with this this Nocturne in the mid lane. Orianna's banned, so Aurora an option, but I'm not sure here for IG.
You could go for tanks. I know we've seen the Swain one time from Rookie. It'll obviously depend on the mid matchup. I think Talia is a little too short-ranged, even if she does have the globals to be able to match with this champion. So we'll see what IG are going to go for. Immediately we go into the second ban phase, and we're seeing an Enchanter in the Lulu taken away. A very strong pairing with the Sivir, as we have seen throughout the series, or throughout the season. But there is, I think, a lot of engaged supports that are now able to be played. A lot more of these control mages, especially with a champion like Bar no longer in the game.
Kali ban. This Silas is an option, I guess, for HomeQ, but with the Akali ban, normally something you played into the Akali. I would say Ahri is what JDG are looking towards. They need something that pairs with the Vi that allows the combo to be a bit better. Pair with the Wukong as well to have CC, because that's your team fight right now. You've got late game damage with the Sivir. The AoE bouncing autos is great. But for IG's side, anything that helps this MF full cast her ult, if it's like a Rel or a Leona, looks really nice. If they want to go towards something like the Swain
Nocturne
that you talked about,
kết hợp với Midforter,
has a bit more of a
kết hợp với Abessa, Rakan à. Đội hình IG đang có 3 là khóa khỏe nha.
Nautilus, I think Leona might give you better odds here in this game, especially for the lane. But we'll have to see what Vampire's going to opt for. Also means that Rookie will get counter pick, which has been a bit in the air as to whether or not we've really gotten a great performance from him, especially in that last game with the LeBlanc into Azir. Didn't really feel like we got to feel Rookie's impact in the game. There's that Nautilus, so incredibly strong team fighting yet again from JDG. You get to cheat minion waves with the Sivir, but we're still yet to see kind of JDG pull it all together here in this series.
Sorry, hold on. I've just got to.
Yep.
Yeah, Ahri. No, not Rise. Ahri. Shibal. All right. We're going with the Rise. It's going to be countered by the Anivia. This has been rising in priority. I think Nemesis played this matchup. I don't know how I feel about it, right? From what I watched from that game, I haven't seen a ton of this matchup, but the Anivia outranges, yes, but the Rise just kind of stands there and hits the Anivia and the wave and wins. And I know you're playing more for the late game for this Anivia, but for IG's team, I feel like maybe, is Cassiopeia not good here? Nautilus? I know that it's really hard.
Cassiopeia
like, really
versus
hard.
Vi, Nautilus and Rumble, that sounds very miserable to play. You get hit by one skill shot and you're done.
not as hard against an Anivia. You just wall it off, and maybe the Vi is there too. So I do see it, but I just wasn't convinced by this matchup. These guys are a little bit better than our LEC representatives from Los Ratones, so I will be taking a little bit more stock into these guys' play of these picks, but I think
2-1 nhé. Đội hình Vin Đông ngon hơn. Ambessa với bão đạn Manfai. Ủa? Ambessa với cả Manfai là bên phía IG mà ta. Nhưng mà đội hình của Vin Đông em Hổ cũng thấy là đẹp hơn. Thôi thì né cái né. Thế là 2-1 hay là 2-0? Thế là đội hình của Vin Đông ngon hơn hay là đội hình của IG ngon hơn? IG đẹp hơn à? Thế thì là 2-0 còn cho IG còn gì nữa? Thôi em Hổ cứ đi cái tay kin. Em Hổ đi cái tay kin cho chắc. Tay kin 30.
Say, the guy doing this JDG fan chant, he needs to be a voice actor. Like he's got.
Em Hổ vừa enter cho mình cái tay kin 30. Một củ cộng 6,5 mà. Được. Để em Hổ ủng hộ IG.
Always glad to see that he's still sticking around. I was a little sad because I think during the beginning of the year we didn't get too many gyos.
Vấn đề là bên phía Vin Đông nó cũng cover được cho CV bắn. Cả hai bên đều đẹp. Bên phía IG thì bắt lẻ mục tiêu đẹp hơn. Còn Vin Đông thì combat tổng có vẻ là đẹp hơn. Thôi, nói chung là trận này em Hổ né cái cộng trừ nhân chia. Trận này tay thôi. Game 1 đánh nhau là nhiều, game 2 cũng vậy. Đường dưới có cấp độ 2 trước đến từ Gala cũng như Vampire. Kéo trúng được V-Way nhưng mà vô tích cũng như là V-Way cũng đã đạt cho mình cấp độ 2 rồi. Bão đạn đẹp là Vin Đông toang. Nhưng mà bên phía của Vin Đông cũng có con Vi mà. Nói chung là để xem là bọn nó xử lý như thế nào. Dưới này thì cặp đôi Gala Vampire vẫn đang rất chi máu. Liên tục là kéo thẳng mồm vị trí của V-Way. Hai bên em Hổ đều thấy đội hình là đẹp. Vấn đề là thằng nào nó xử lý tốt hơn thôi.
Pre-level 6 compared to most junglers because of the vault breaker, but not great damage.
Chuẩn nói chung là thằng nào xử lý tốt hơn thôi, chứ đội hình này cả hai bên đều đẹp mà. Bên phía của Vin Đông có Jundia Vi đấy, vì mà nó biết chơi Jundia nó xử lý tốt thì nó còn Midfortune không được chơi game.
That was rookie TPing in. I think he's maybe expecting now Hong Q was going to trade the ghost. Not the case here. So without that teleport, the flexibility of being able to play on the map is a little bit more limited. But with this,
giờ sai già rồi.
Especially with the phase rush, but he needs to move in between lanes. He does have a little bit of an.
Vậy là hai người chơi đi rừng, mỗi người một cua. IG cua trên, còn bên phía Vin Đông là cua dưới.
3 minutes base for a tier and that's it. These guys want to scale, they want to sit here and not do anything, and even though Wei is behind him, behind Honkyu, he says no, I'm still going to go for my Raptors, but Ginger is around.
I like this 2v2 puts a bit of pressure. They also get the timer for those Raptors, so it is something that they can revisit in 2 minutes time. We'll see whether or not that actually comes to fruition. So everybody, 5 minutes also is a bit of a very unique or ubiquitous timer now in the early.
Đường giữa thì Hong Quy rồi combo tốt, Rocky vào dạng trứng, nhưng mà Hong Quy hết mana rồi thì chắc có lẽ cũng không lấy được cái mạng của con Anivia này đâu. Cố gắng cấu tỉa máu mà thôi. Cái gì đây? Rocky chặn tường Hong Quy, đủ sát thương không? Không đủ sát thương. Nhưng mà ép được cái tốc biến của con Rai này. Vậy là đổi cái quả trứng lấy cái tốc biến. Cũng ổn. Hồng Quy bây giờ không còn tốc biến thì sẽ khá áp lực với những cái pha hoang tưởng của con Doctor.
I mean, Hongkyu was able to break the egg, so no snack in the mid lane, just some chicken after that. So hopefully JDG a fan of chickens because there is a free one in the mid lane. You know, no mobility, but IG here with the
Cái điều kiện thắng của bên phía IG là phải nuôi được con Nocturne nó xanh anh em. Con Nocturne xanh nó tạo áp lực hai bên cánh. Trên này thì Xảo Xú đã phải đầu tư cái mưa tên lửa để dọn lính về nhà trước so với Soboro phía bên kia. Con rồng đầu tiên, một con rồng gió cũng đã xuất hiện. Cua thứ ba lại là cua ở nhánh trên anh em ạ. Cả hai người chơi đi rừng ai có cái cấp độ 6 trước đều cực kỳ có lợi. Vì cả hai đều sở hữu những cái R rất khỏe. Nên là có lẽ hai bên sẽ cố gắng tranh chấp với con cua này. Tunisia chủ động di chuyển ra trước, kiểm soát tầm nhìn. Way thì lóc cóc theo sau. Ồ, vậy là bên phía của IG quyết định là bỏ à? Không tranh chấp cóc luôn. Không tranh chấp cua. Dưới này thì kéo chúng được vào vị trí của Phô Tích. Phô Tích pha này vẫn giữ được cho mình cái flash. Cái gì đây? Tôi lại hỏi chấm cái gì đây? Rồi con chim lên cấp độ 6 rất khó chịu. Lấy đi được nửa cây máu Hồng Quy. Tunisia cũng đã có cho mình cấp độ 6 rồi, nhưng mà có một con mắt của Rocky phát hiện ra. Hai bên 7 phút rồi nhưng mà vẫn chưa bem nhau. Chặn tường, Quy, combo E. Thằng Rocky này đang xử lý con Nivea rất tốt. Đã có cấp độ 6 đến từ hai người chơi đi rừng rồi. Để xem là Way sẽ xử lý cái hoang tưởng của con Nocturne này như thế nào đây. Có phải là một cái con Nocturne đánh người, farm người không, farm mạng không, hay là một con Nocturne farm quái rừng? Lại hỏi chấm, mẹ bọn này nó làm gì đây? Cái gì đây? Hai bên vẫn đang farm là rất chill. 7 phút trôi qua nhưng mà chưa ăn rồng luôn.
I expect Rumble to be way stronger in this lane. I guess Mbessa is just that champion right now. I think Mbessa can just spam her ability. She can just donkey roll the keyboard. Yeah, and with maybe all the additional range and the shielding she gets, she can trade a little bit of her HP and do that. As we can see, also has the Hex Drinker ready here for Sabora already, so has a little bit more kick to be able to fight back versus this Rumble. But yeah, like you're mentioning, there's some surprising occurrences already this early on. I'm surprised that Ryze has been the only champion to go Actualizer. Oh, hold on, under tower? Is this a real one? I mean, he has no flash. Yeah, why not? We have the damage.
Nào Hồng Quy. Rồi chiến công đầu đã có dành cho Hồng Quy, nhưng mà phía này thì sao? IG phải đổi đến tận là 2 mạng. Double kill dành cho con Ryze của Hồng Quy.